a financial services professional, Diane Campbell. Welcome, Diane.
Hi, Sam. Thank you for having me.
All right. So, as you know, we are still in the month of May and it is being celebrated as Child's Month. And so today we're talking about raising financially well children. Before we get into it, though, Diane, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what qualifies you to speak on this topic?
Okay. Just a little bit about me. I've been with the society for almost 8 years now. I've served at several different branches in different capacity, and it has been quite an exciting journey so far.
All right. So we look forward to the gems that you will share with us today.
Yes.
All right. Before we start, though, I'd like to remind you that our team is in the comments and they'll be answering your questions. So you can send your comments or you can send us a DM. If you want, you can also telephone us as well, 876-754-VMBS. That's 876-754-8627. And our email address, if you want to email us, is manager@myvmgroup.com. So let's get into it with Diane. So Diane, we're talking about raising financially well children. What are some of the habits that you learned when you were a child that still sticks with you today?
Well, Sam, it's so funny that you asked that question. Growing up as a child, savings was inculcated in us from a tender age. I remember when we were in primary school, we didn't have the traditional savings plan until later on in school. But we started out by saving our change from the tuck shop or when we would go to the shop. And how we would save that money is in a little roll-on bottle, something called a deodorant bottle. I don't know if you remember those.
Well, I'm old enough to remember. I don't know if our viewers are old enough, but tell us
hope so.
How do you make that? Or
right.
How did you make that?
So we, as children, growing up, we had a little roll-on with the ball at the top. Once it's finished, we'd get the ball out. In the top of the roll-on bottle, we'd make a little hole, put a string through it, and then tie it, put a knot at the end. And we'd wear that bottle around our necks daily, and that's where we'd put our little change from when we spend any money. That savings would accumulate over time, and then we would put that in a bigger savings plan until it's time to put it in a bank account. Now, unfortunately, at that time, I didn't have a VM account, I must confess, but I did have a savings account from the bank that I visited the school where I grew up in the country. And each time we would make trips and make deposits to the account, and it grew over time. And I was able to tap into that after graduating from university.
Wow, that is very ingenious. And you can tell us in the comments some of the other ingenious ways that you would save money as a child or even as an adult. What are you doing now to teach your children to save money? Now, how early do you think parents should start telling their children or inculcating good spending and saving habits within their children?
Well, some children start to develop habits and attitudes at age 5 to 6. So it would be good to start teaching them about money between ages 3 to 4, introducing them to the different notes, having a conversation with them, taking them to the bank, giving them a piggy bank like we had. It doesn't have to be a pig, can be a house like the one VM has, but talking to them about what money is, what is its purpose, and the value of money and how it's used in society. So we could start at age 3 to 4.
Mm-hmm. And when we start that talk, what are some of the things that we tell them and how do we encourage those good habits?
Right. So it's good for parents to start early because every parent, our goal is to raise smart, successful children and equipping them with the necessary tools to lead a successful life. And one of the best ways to do that is to give them the financial skills that they'll need to have a successful life as an adult. Some of the things that we've talked to them about is ensuring that they are aware of how to save, in the sense that every dollar that you earn, it should be split in 3 main categories. 50% for spending. Of course, they won't understand percentage, but you'd have to find a creative way to explain that aspect of it. So a portion of it for saving, and a portion for spending, and another portion for giving. These 3 things are key because one, they will understand that they should not blow every dollar on one thing. Set aside a portion for spending, and this helps them to learn about delayed gratification. Set aside a portion for savings, and set aside a portion, 20% ideally, for giving. And what giving does, it helps to show them that they can actually make a change in society. So kids love to give. They're natural givers.
That is true.
They can save towards buying toys for the less fortunate kids in the community, or whatever charity drive that they are passionate about at that tender age. They can save towards that.
All right. We were talking earlier, and you mentioned a 7-step process to encouraging good financial habits. Talk to us about some of the steps in that. I'm assuming that the one you just spoke about would have been one.
That's the first one, starting early, right? So I won't go over that one. And the second one would be allowing your children to earn an allowance. This will help to differentiate between hard work and reward. No, parents, you're not going to award or reward basic things that your child should be doing, such as making their bed or doing the dishes. No. You're going to look for chores that are a little bit challenging around the household, so they can be a part of a good functioning family, and they can see how they contribute to the family. Could be raking the yard, washing the car, cleaning the garage. So find these chores and reward them accordingly with an allowance, right? And as I said, it teaches them the difference between hard work and reward. The second step is to take them to the bank. So that's something I didn't mention earlier, that you can take your child to the bank to open an account so that they can get familiar with the process, what is required, how it works, how a debit card is issued. Take them to the ABM as well and help them to use a point of sale, because we're moving to a cashless society. So it's no longer a book like we were accustomed to when we were growing up, but it's now apps, banking apps that parents can introduce their children to so they can track spending. And that leads me to the next step, which is teach them about budgeting so that they can actually track their spending between their income and their expenses. And the other step would be to involve them in big financial decisions. You're not going to burden the child with expenses such as health care or buying a house, but a key one that you should include the child in is planning for college. You can explain to them the different costs affiliated with furthering their education and explain to them the role that they need to play. Is it that we're going to be saving towards getting their books? Are we going to be applying for scholarships? And that would mean that they need to maintain their grades. Or even if a parent can afford 100% financing for college tuition, they should ensure that the child has skin in the game, because this is more rewarding for them when they're actively saving towards this thing and they're sacrificing and putting in the hard work to ensure that this thing is covered, right? And the other step is to set a good example for the child. You as a parent have to set a good example, because children observe and that's how they learn. So if mommy or daddy were just spending, then that's exactly what the child will grow up doing. So we have to ensure that we set a clear example to them that we're living by so that they can emulate those behaviors. And finally, keep the conversation going. So at different stages, you can teach them about different things. So you taught them about what money is, its value, its worth. You teach them about saving, spending, and giving. But as they grow older, there are other things that you can introduce them to. Things that we learned as an adult. So we're talking about home ownership, managing debt, managing a credit card. We're talking about insurance and investment. So these are conversations that you can have as a child grows to become an adult.
Well, I've certainly lost count, but I'm hoping that is 7. Audience, you can count with us.
Yes.
Now, you spoke earlier about the allowance and about the 3 steps for saving, spending, and for giving. Are there any other tips that you have to help parents with helping their children to manage the allowance that they will get?
Right. So we are in the digital age now, and there are apps available for parents to engage their child into money management. There are simple apps depending on the different ages that they help to schedule chores. There's alerts for chores, alerts for allowances. You can actually charge your child interest on some of these apps when they borrow money from you, and you can pay them with interest as well. So these apps are very educational and very easy to use and can help you in the areas that the child will need exposure.
All right, so we're definitely in a very digital age. So I want to advise our viewers that the VM Building Society has some products and services that are geared towards helping our children to save. And Diane, take it away. What are some of these products and services?
Well, Sam, the VM Building Society, we currently offer a Save to Grow plan where children at the age of 0 to 11 can engage in the junior plan and start with a minimum of 200. Now, the sweetener of this product, Sam, is that once the children are actively saving in the Save to Grow, they can apply for scholarships at the different levels as they matriculate from primary to high school to university or college. Scholarships and bursaries are available at the different stages.
The good thing about it is that the scholarships for the VM Foundation Scholarship Program, the applications are open now, and you actually can visit the website, which is vmfoundationscholarships.myvmgroup.com, where you can apply through the online portal for any of about 4 or 5 scholarships that the VM Foundation offers. So before we close, Diane, is there any main point or any main points that you want to reiterate?
Yes, definitely, Sam. I'd love to encourage parents to start early in terms of teaching their children the necessary skills that they need to ensure that they improve on the legacy that our parents left for us. And I'd love to encourage parents to start rewarding your child as well. Give them an allowance. Get them involved in the day-to-day chores at home, and just continue with the communication where money is concerned. Keep it going as a child grows.
Keep it going indeed, and that is what I want to leave with you, that we should always continue the conversation. And of course, I'm going to remind you that you can always call us or email us at the VM Group, or telephone number 754-VMBS, that is 754-8627, and our email address manager@myvmgroup.com. That's manager@myvmgroup.com. This has been another episode of Financial Fridays. See you next month.